Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name is Jason Newland. This is Let Me Bore You to Sleep. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. And today, on Monday the 13th of October 2025 at 2:53 p.m. is Monday's Boring Objects. At last, I'm back to some kind of routine, hopefully. Monday's Boring Objects. And if you listened yesterday, I mentioned that I was going to do a recording. I've even got it on my wall. I found it on the floor and put it back on my wall. I'm going to talk about my favourite comedy characters. And something else I wrote down, but I can't read it. Munchie Bon Olof. Mucky Box Ogre. Mucky Box Ogre. I got no idea what that is. But favourite comedy characters from television. Now, I was walking in the park with Vinny, and I was thinking about this. It's about an hour ago. And I started thinking, but what about comedy characters from movies? So maybe I'll do that next week. That's a whole session on its own. I just start thinking about that, and there's so many. I will also mention comedy characters that maybe I like, maybe that are popular. I mean, I'm probably going to focus on British characters, TV comedy characters, but I'll try and focus on some American ones as well. I mean, outside of that, I can't think of any other. I mean, there's a couple of Australian ones like Dame Edna Edveridge, Canadian. I mean, you've got quite a few Canadian actors that did characters, aren't you? Sort of Bill and Ted bloke. Oh, Do Behave. And that character. You've got Jim Carrey, who is from Canada, and he did. The thing is, with him, you could say, I mean, he did the Pet Detectives, who did that character, didn't he? But there was quite a lot of crossover between that character and a lot of the other characters that he did during that period. But anyway, we'll discuss that next week. This week, I'm going to focus on television comedy characters. So really just actors that portray the character in a television show. So I'm just going to try and list all comedy characters, TV comedy characters. British. It's going to be huge. I mean, how far back do you want to go? That's the thing, isn't it? How far back? In fact, I don't think ChatGPT is going to be able to actually list all of them. So it's taken its time. It's a big ask. So anyway, I hope you're well. Vinny's just chilling out on the sofa. I haven't done much today, although I've got my laundry in. So my laundry's being done at the moment. That's swirling around in its own dirt. Hopefully also some clean water. Yeah, ever since I changed my medication a couple of weeks back, because my medication was upped a little bit, and I take it in the morning and in the evening, and there's a bit more tiredness I've noticed than I had before. I used to get tired in the evening when I took it, but I was kind of all right by the time I woke up, but now taking it in the morning as well, I kind of feel a little bit tired all the time, which is a lot better than how I was feeling. But that's the reason why I reduced the medication to start with, because of that tired feeling. Oh, another thing, I've been listening to my own recordings lately because I think it's important that it's like if you're a chef, you need to try and test your own food, innit? So, I can't imagine how fat I would be. Imagine how much bigger I'd be if I was a chef. I would be huge. You'd literally have to have walls that just collapsed so I could get in and out of the kitchen. Or have some kind of pulley system so I can a big hole in the ceiling, something like that, because I would just be massive. I mean, I'm big enough now, but I was 16 stone just over a year ago. I'm 15 now, and I wasn't even eating that much when I was 16 stone. But if I was eating all the time, wow. Right, okay, here's what ChatGPT comes up with. That's a massive list. There have been hundreds of British TV comedy characters across decades, from the 50s to now. To make this useful, I'll start with a comprehensive list grouped by show, focusing on the most iconic and it didn't even finish. It's taking its time. While it does that, yes, I've been listening to my recordings. Now, I'm not surprised that they are relaxing and sleep-inducing. Firstly, because they're kind of supposed to be. That's the aim. I suppose there's three aims for me for these Let Me Bore You to Sleep recordings. First of all is, what it says on the tin, to help you to get to sleep. Also, there's relaxation. So maybe you're not listening to go to sleep, you're just listening because you need to just relax. And there's a third reason, which I didn't start out with, but I've been told that this is a case by quite a few people over the years, that I can be company, a friendly voice to hear regularly. And there's a lot of people out there that live on their own And, you know, I'm one of them, really. I know I've got Vinny, but the conversation is not up to much, to be honest. So to have, and having that regularity is nice, I think. There's a radio show I listen to on a Friday and Saturday night on LBC. Ben started listening, so I think I've lost him. He's not listening to me anymore. He's gone. He's left me for Nick Abbott or whoever's on LBC. I like listening to the Nick Abbott show, 10 o'clock, Friday and Saturday night. If I don't go to bed till 11:30 or 11, I'll just rewind it and listen to it from the start. And providing there's no major political events going on, it's a very kind of chatty, light-hearted kind of show. It can be a bit grumpy at times, but it's a phone-in show, so there's a lot of pressure on him to deal with people. I don't know how well I'd get on with that kind of show. Do you know what? I just did the loudest burp of my life. Seriously. I just eaten. I had some breakfast cereal a little while ago. I did the loudest burp. It's massive. So, Vinny's having a nice drink. So they're the three reasons, or the three benefits, potentially. I think there's a fourth. I think there's a few benefits that maybe are not quite touchable, kind of don't seem quite obvious. If or when you reduce anxiety. Really, Vinny? He's doing his helicopter ear thing. When that's thrown me off. That is, what is it? I'm talking about recordings, aren't I? All right, yeah. I've still got that passion for helping people to reduce their chronic pain. It's still there, and I know, well, from experience, that by reducing stress and anxiety, tension, all that stuff, it reduces the physical discomfort that the person is feeling. Because, unfortunately, it's one of those things, like, you know, when your mind's relaxed, your body becomes relaxed, which relaxes your mind, which relaxes your body, which, you know, so on and so forth. The same thing is with chronic pain and stress or tension. So it goes either way. So the more tense, the pain's bad, which causes tension and stress, which then increases the pain, which causes more tension and stress, which then increases the pain. But by reversing it, by focusing on the stress, the tension part, by relaxing, not necessarily focusing on the part of the body, but just general calming of your mind in a kind of a natural way, you know, by listening to me squeaking on about comedy characters from the past on television, things like that. And because maybe you've listened to me for years, some of you, and you can also listen back. It's not like anything's hidden. You can listen back to recordings, listen to what I've said, listen to everything. And because, you know, if you want to you're doing a session with someone in a room and you feel great, you know, why do I feel? What did they say to me? Well, you can listen back to it, because a recording, don't know how many times I'm going to say you can listen back to it, but it's a different situation, and the more often you listen, the more relaxed you'll become, and the quicker you become relaxed. And if you're listening to fall asleep, it'll just happen naturally. Because at no point during these recordings do I tell you to go to sleep or to even focus on sleep. In fact, the only time I generally use the word sleep is at the very beginning when I say, welcome to Let Me Bore You to Sleep. That is it. I don't really mention sleep at all. So, natural relaxation would then also help to relieve chronic pain. So that's also in there. That's part of, kind of what I'm trying to do, trying to achieve, I suppose. And, millions and millions of people have got physical conditions, as have I. I mean, I've got arthritis in my lower back. I never mention it, but apart from every time I do a recording, this helps. Even making the recording helps my back, which is kind of weird. I don't know why that is. I guess because I can hear my own voice, I can hear the words that I'm saying, and I'm in a certain frame of mind when I'm making these recordings, maybe. So what I've been doing, there's every now and then I try and explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't do this in every single recording. Just every now and then, if there's someone new listening for the first time, and we know what new means, okay, stop it. And just to let you know why I'm doing it. The dog in the garden started barking, so I had to edit that out. I didn't need to mention it really, did I? But hey, it's distracted me though. What was I talking about? Banana splits. Yeah, so banana splits. I often wondered how, because do you know when you go into a place and you get a banana split, the bananas are always ripe, aren't they? Have you noticed that? I've never had a banana split I didn't fall in love with. Or I didn't enjoy, maybe. Maybe fall in love with is a bit strong, but... And I've not had a banana split probably 15, 20 years. But they were always ripe, the bananas. Now, whenever I buy bananas, it's hard to pinpoint when they're going to be ripe. So how do they do it in those ice cream shops or burger bars or wherever they sell, or restaurants where they sell banana thingies, banana strips, whatever they call them? I just don't know. Do you ever wonder that? Oh, wait a minute, I wasn't talking about that, was I? Fire engines? No. Why, there's another distraction. Lots of barking. Another dog barking in the garden. Vinny started barking as well. Oh. So, that's... Maybe you can let me know why you listen to my Let You Bore You to Sleeps. What do you get out of it? And the reason I was talking about this is because I've started listening to my recordings. And I listened to the Q&A Friday yesterday morning. And I I did. I fell asleep for 2 hours. That's how long the recording lasted. I fell asleep for 2 hours. And I was on the sofa and I was just like laying back and gone. And then in the late afternoon, I thought, you know what I'll do? No, it was night time. I think it was when I went to bed. I'm going to listen to my recording I did yesterday, which was Sunday's Papers, was it? Yeah, Sunday's Papers. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll listen to that one, which I did, which was, Sunday Papers, which was Let Me Bore You to Sleep, number 1460. And that lasted for 1 hour, 35 minutes and 48 seconds. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't tired. I wasn't tired. I was just kind of, because I'd spent quite a bit of time lazing around yesterday, a lazy Sunday, and I didn't really feel that I needed to go to bed. But I lay down anyway, went to bed. I've got a routine. I like to be in bed by about 11, generally. 10, 9, between 9 and 11, depending. But at the moment, Big Brother's on, so I don't go to bed till after Big Brother finishes, which is about 10, 10:15. Or if I listen to Live and Late, which is where they talk about what's happened, then it'll be after 11. So I'm listening to this, the Sunday's Papers, bearing in mind I kind of know what I've said because I've only just finished it. I mean, I've spent the last 2 hours editing, processing and uploading it and making an image and all that stuff while I was watching Big Brother. Because it's quite time consuming sometimes. And so I kind of already know what I've been talking about, generally. And I start listening to it. I'll be honest, I was listening to it thinking, I don't think this is going to send me to sleep, because it's just not, I don't know, I just kind of, I wasn't like laying there thinking, I'm going to stay awake, woo. Nothing like that. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? But I didn't really feel tired. And then I woke up an hour and a half later, or 2 hours later, or 3 hours, I don't know, to go to the toilet. And I was listening to the recordings. I wasn't even like just drowsing off or anything. I was listening to what I was saying, making sure it was clear, I'm talking clearly and it sounds okay. And, I was, I suppose, being a little bit critical, but not hugely. And I was gone, completely gone. Fell asleep probably within 10 minutes, maybe less, to the point where I don't remember falling asleep. In fact, I don't remember laying there listening to it, other than right at the beginning. It's weird. I mean, it's not. Why would I do this many recordings if I think it's weird that it works? But why does it work on me? Because, I've got more of a tendency to listen in a more judgy way, like, well, what have I talked about? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have edited that out. And, I'm sounding a bit croaky today, and just little things. But, and it happened, last week, when my desk was squeaking, and that was annoying me. I was like, wow, what's it like for other people listening? because that's all I can hear now is the squeak on that desk. I got it fixed anyway. Although I did get myself some WD-40. I didn't end up using it on the desk. I used toilet roll holders. But I'm still very pleased about the outcome. Like, so pleased. It's hardly impossible. I can't really explain to you how chuffed I am that I got rid of that squeak. I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't like the squeak. I didn't want it part of my life. I don't mean to be rude to it. I mean, I'm not prejudiced against squeaks. Just that one, I wouldn't have minded if it was in the kitchen or if it was in the bathroom and Vinny's just done a big smelly one. Wow. I don't think he even knows it's happening. He's at my feet and he's laying flat on his stomach with his little paws like in front of him, little hands, and he's listening to me because I know, because his ears move whenever I say his name. If I say Vinny, his ears prick up, so he knows I'm talking about him. Don't you, Vinny? Yeah, you do. I wonder if listening to me sends him to sleep, because he seems to like listening to me. Not always. If he wants something, then he doesn't like it when I do a podcast, but the amount of times he'll just come and lay down under the table and just go fast asleep while I'm doing a recording. I think it relaxes him a bit. I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong. I've been wrong before. Yeah, I was wrong once, about 3 times before, actually. So, let's get on to the subject. So, Great Britain classic era, 1950s to 1970s. And, right, so I'm going to go through these, and, I mean, it's going to be impossible to go through. You know what, he heard what I said and now he's jumped onto the sofa, almost in defiance. So we'll go through these. There's so many. Some I will just miss out because I don't... Sometimes it's just, they're so old. So you got, these are old ones. Hancock's Half Hour. Tony Hancock and Sid James. Never really a big fan of that particular show. I used to have the album. Like, there's a very famous sketch called The Blood Donor, where Tony Hancock is basically giving blood, and it's a funny sketch. I mean, it was a funny show. It was on a long time before I was born, really, so I just didn't really ever get to see it, and I've seen old episodes, but yeah, it wasn't really my time. Although I was a big fan of Sidney James, but that was more because of stuff he did later on. And then you've got Steptoe's Son, Harold Steptoe and Albert. Harold would be like, "You dirty old man," and Albert would be like, "Harold, Harold." And America had their own version of that show, which was, it had, Fox. What's his name? Something Fox. Red Fox, that's it. Red Fox was in it, and it was the The Steptoe Son was based in a rag and bone man. So he used to go around collecting junk and taking it back to the warehouse where they lived. And yeah, that was what he did. And his dad, Albert, was fairly elderly, and they both basically were always arguing. I've seen it loads of times. Good comedy characters, but I wouldn't put them down as in my favourites. Dad's Army. I've seen it in the past. I never really liked it. But there's famous characters, Captain Mannering, Private Pike and stuff like that. So it was based upon, during the Second World War, the private army of like citizens would go out at night and basically guard, the public guard, which actually happened. So but it's a sitcom. So I never really enjoyed that show. Now, if you'd have asked me 40 years ago, or even 30 years ago, who would be my top... Well, if you'd have said, what's your favourite sitcom of all time, I would have said Fawlty Towers. And the original UK version, Fawlty Towers, and the best character, Basil Fawlty, as a character, a comedy character. So I would still put him in the top list. Great character. And Porridge, they did do an American version, but I don't think it worked very well. I don't think it was successful. In fact, they might have done versions around the world, because this is, what's his name? John Cleese, who's like really famous anyway at the time, because of the, because of the, what's it called? The show that they had. The Life of Brian. That was one of my favourite movies ever. Anyway, Porridge. I like Porridge. And you got Norman Stanley Fletcher. Not my favourite comedy character, but is still a great character. But I wouldn't put him down in my list of favourites. Till Death Do Us Part, Alf Garnett. Now, in the 80s, I probably would have put Alf Garnett as one of them. But it's really aged. You know, it's not aged well. It's very... I mean, they have to be careful about even showing it on TV. And they have to, all these shows, like from the 70s, the 80s, even some shows from the 90s or the 2000s, they put a warning. Some of these views expressed in this show are outdated, but were from a times gone by. Viewer discretion. Stuff from like 15, 20 years ago. Has society changed that much? I don't know. Oh, here we go. I'm going to go back. Right. Sid James was in a TV show called... Oh, what was it called? The Family? Well, I'm going to have to look it up. I mean, it was called Sid. Sid James. His filmography. Oh, come on. He was in loads and loads and loads of Carry On movies. But as a TV show, he was in Bless This House. Do, 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 do. Absolutely loved that show. I just did. And I didn't realise why. Which is going to sound weird, but I now know that show, my granddad, or my nanny granddad, when they lived in London, they had the same doorbell as they have at the beginning of that movie, or at the beginning of that TV show. And it was a certain very, very popular doorbell chime in the 70s. So he was Sid Turner in that. So he played Sid quite a few times. He really did. Wow. He played Sid in quite a few TV shows. Maybe he needs to be called Sid. I don't know. But anyway, I like that character. But it was kind of him in a weird way. But I like him. It's not a favourite comedy character, as in funniest, because he was quite grumpy in the show. And without the other characters, like his son, his daughter, and his wife, and his next door neighbour, it wouldn't be any good. If that makes any sense. It's a bit like Alf Garnett at the time was funny because of other people making fun of him for his political and views about all kinds of things. If it wasn't for people making fun of him, it would have just been some horrible old man being horrible to everyone. And there's not really anything funny in that. But the fact that he'd go on rants and all the cast would just be laughing at him, it would kind of challenge him what he was saying. Because that's a lot of things like in the 70s where they say, oh, it was of its time and it was inappropriate. But a lot of the shows, although technically if you look at it as face value, yeah, inappropriate content, but also they're questioning. So a lot of these shows are questioning those views. There was this TV show called Mind Your Language, and it was basically like an evening school with an English teacher trying to teach English to different minorities. So it played on all those stereotypes. But at the same time, it was kind of educational. I know it's based in a school, but it was almost making fun of those stereotypes at the same time. So plus, you know what? We had stuff on TV in the 80s that would never be allowed on TV now. You know, I was a teenager in the 80s. And that stuff does have an effect. If you're brought up watching that, it's normal, isn't it? So I sometimes feel that I had to kind of re-educate myself in some ways. But anyway, now on a really good one. If I had to, I would possibly say my favourite comedy show, not because of how funny it is, but just because I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it, and will always love it for my whole life. Only Fools and Horses. Every character in that show is good. Excellent, really. Every character. You got Del Boy, who's the main person, but then you got Rodney, Uncle Albert, Trigger, Boise, Marlene. You just everyone, Grandad. They were all really, really great characters. And because the show went on for quite a long time, the characters developed. And Boise went on to do his own show. And Trigger was also he was in another show. Yeah, he was in a different show, but similar kind of character, actually. So I would probably put down that as my favourite comedy show, probably. But as far as favourite comedy character, it's like, okay, how do I look at it? Do I look at it in a way of, can I imagine anybody else playing that character? And can I imagine anyone playing Del Boy? No. No one else but him. And Rodney, no one else but him. Uncle Albert, no. Trigger, Boise. Marlene. No. Okay, Marlene maybe, but she wasn't really a big part of the show. I mean, she was in it, but as far as the main characters, it was Del Boy, Rodney, Uncle Albert, Trigger and Boise. Boise wasn't in it. Hugh and Trigger, they were kind of co-stars. The three main people was, the first three. But then you also had Cassandra. I mean, she was a big part of the show near the last few series. And Del Boy's wife, I can't remember her name. It's terrible, isn't it? So then you got Blackadder. Now, I liked Blackadder. Yeah, I don't know if you know about Blackadder. This is Mr. Bean played Blackadder, which is going to bring me to Mr. Bean, actually. Is Mr. Bean even... Yes, it is, so I'll come back to that. So, Rowan Atkinson, his first major TV show on his own, because he was in a show called Not the 9 O'Clock News in the late 70s or early 80s. But then he was in Blackadder, and he was a great character. It was pretty much exactly the same character in every series, and they went through time. So they had different series. One was in the First World War, one was in Victorian times, another one was in different times. So, but it was still the same character, still the same person. And Baldwick, he was, they had the same people, in all the shows. So Edmund, so Blackadder, that was a great character. The young ones, it's weird because the young ones was really popular back in middle 80s or 83, 4, 5 kind of time. I'm not sure the exact dates. And it was basically 4 students living in a house in utter chaos. And Rick, Vivian, Neil and Mike. Neil was the hippie Vivian was the punk rocker, Rick was the anarchist, and Mike was a fully grown man and was sensible, and he was kind of the boss. But he was 4 foot tall. It was very strange, but he looked like he was in his 40s or something. So very popular. Yeah, I liked the characters. My favourite was probably Rick, but I did like Vivian and Neil. He had a song. I'm sure it was "Got a Hole in My Bucket," and he's just yeah. So I liked all the characters. Mike, I don't know. I just seen it's very much the odd one out. Perhaps that's what makes it good. Yes, Minister, yes, Prime Minister. I liked it, but I wouldn't be bothered by like any of the characters. It was very well acted, very well written. It was funny. I did watch it, but I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't like put it down as any of the characters my favourite. Heidi High. So Heidi High was based in a, what do you call it? A camp. What do you call it? Not a caravan camp, like a Butlins kind of thing. You know, where people go along and they've got chalets and there's lots of entertainment and stuff like that. So that's where Heidi High was based. It was based on the Pontins Butlins theme. And you had Gladys, Ted, and Peggy. They were kind of the main. There was a lot of the same people in all the shows. I would personally say, well, I guess Gladys was the star, in a sense. But then Ted and Ted's friend, who lived in the same room as him, I would put them as equal billing, really. And Peggy, I would say a lot of people would remember Peggy more than anyone else. Especially the episode where she gets a red coat or blue coat or green coat or whatever it is. And it's because she's been years and years and years she's been wanting to be a red coat, or you know, like an actual entertainer instead of a cleaner. And finally she gets it, and she's just, it's very emotional actually. It's weird. And she was probably one of the most loved TV characters at that time. Mr. Bean. See, this is a weird one for me. You can make a bit more noise, please, Vinny. Thanks. Mr. Bean, when it started, it absolutely cracked me up. I'm talking the very first series of it. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I knew him. I knew Rowan Atkinson, because he was also still doing the his other show as well at the same time, the Blackadder. So Mr. Bean, Vinny, shh. I don't know what it was. I'd never seen anything like it before, ever. It was just, and it was completely, pretty much silent. There was no converse. There was no talking. There was no really anything during the first season or first series. And I just thought it was brilliant. But then I didn't watch it anymore. I don't know what it was. I think I sometimes, no, there's no real reason for this. It's when a TV show becomes popular, I kind of don't watch it so much. I like almost feeling like I've discovered something that no one else knows about, which is a bit silly when something's on national television. But I think it was a surprising hit, though. But yeah, I had no idea. It says the 90s. I think Mr. Bean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Mr. Bean first arrived late 80s. Shall we look? That's what I believe, because my memory tells me that's true. Late 80s. Mr. Bean, Mr. Bean, Mr. Bean, Mr. Bean. Shall we have a look? Okay. Okay. So let's have a look. I just want to I want to be correct, just for once. I just want to be able to tell you whether or not it's true. List of Mr. Bean episodes. I might be wrong. Oh, you know what? I'm not far off. The first Mr. Bean was on television on the 1st of January 1990. I mean, that's as close to the late 80s as you can get, isn't it? So yeah, 1st of January 1990. And I watched that. I think that's what it is, right? The first episode, there was 2 episodes. One was 1st of January and the next one was 5th of November 1990. Then he did another one, January 91, October 91, January 92, February 92, December 92, February 93, January 94. What? Huge gaps between the recordings, all the way up to 95. 15 episodes from 1990 to 95. And he did 4 episodes in 1995. 1, 2, 3 in 94, 1 in 93, 3 in 92, 2 in 91 and 2 in 90. So, and he did the movies as well, of course. So that's, he did Bean, 97, and then he did... He's not into doing things. He likes to have a break, doesn't he? He did Bean in 97, and then he did Mr. Bean's Holiday in 2007. It's like 97, 2000, it's like 10 years. I know it's 10 years, but I'm just... Unaired sketches. Oh, okay, so there's stuff that hasn't been on there. He's done stuff for Comic Relief. Blimey. So bearing in mind how famous the character is, he hasn't done that much as far as television goes. Like 15 episodes. And then nothing since for 30 years. And then he did, 28 years ago, he did The Bean. And 18 years ago, he did Mr. Bean's Holiday. I thought there was a Mr. Bean movie recently. I genuinely did. I mean, am I wrong? Mr. Bean movies. Mr. Bean cast. Why am I... Mr. Bean movies. No, there's only two. Mr. Bean, and then there's Mr. Bean's Holiday. I think the thing is with him, because he did the 3 Johnny English movies, he looks the same, doesn't he? I know it's still his face. I tell you, a really good show, if you ever get to a chance to watch it, it's Blackadder's Christmas Carol. It's really good. You might be able to see it on YouTube, possibly. So I don't think I've ever... I might have seen parts. I've seen some bits of his movies. There's one scene inside a restaurant that's very, very funny. I found it very funny. I can't remember what it is, some kind of shellfish thing. I don't know. So yeah, he's not my favourite character, comedy character. But it's so original. You know, it's... As far as originality goes, it's got to be at the top of the list. There's nothing... I mean, I'm not saying that no one else could have done it. There's actually a comedian, actor, that could have done it. I'm not saying better or worse, but he could have done that kind of character. David Schneider, and he did... It's a very physical comedian, but he's also quite a serious actor as well. Someone I used to know back in the day, as it were. And he was physical, he could have done that. Or someone like Lee Evans, or Jim Carrey, you know, having that physicality. But I think with Rowan Atkinson having... It wasn't just the physicality, it was also the facial expressions, wasn't it? And yeah. Here's another show that I love, right? The Vicar of Dibley. So there's something... It's just nice. It is funny. It's got, what's her name? Blimey, I should know her name. I can't remember everyone's name. Blimey, flipping heck. Why are you copying that? I want you to copy Geraldine Granger. Geraldine Granger. Come on. Saunders. Geraldine Granger. So, if you could... Dawn French. I was just trying to think French and Saunders. Dawn French. Perfect. It's kind of weird, really, because out of French and Saunders, there was Jennifer Saunders, Dawn French. They had a TV show, and Dawn French was almost kind of like the not the star, but the most famous of the two of them, in a way. And they did other sort of movies and stuff together, and you know, and then it swapped over. Absolutely Fabulous came out, and Jennifer Saunders became the more famous out of the two, because that show was huge here, absolutely huge hit. And I don't know, I think it might have even been quite big in America and other countries, I'm not sure. But then, Dawn French he started being in The Vicar of Dibley, which was in the, I don't know what year it was. And she went on, because I think Absolutely Fabulous was in the 90s, The Vicar of Dibley was in the 2000s. So she became the more famous of the two. And they still got back together and did the comedy sketches together. And that's actually second on the list, Absolutely Fabulous. I did like that. I did. The thing is, I think with Absolutely Fabulous, Patsy Stone is the best comedy character on that one. Yeah, I think The Vicar of Dibley, I enjoyed watching it because it's really nice to watch. It's light comedy. And there's one particular episode, it's a Christmas episode, where she gets invited to 3 different Christmas meals. And it's just really nice. It's nice. It's funny, but it's also nice, you know. I don't know how many times I could say the word nice. Father Ted. Now, Father Ted, when it first came out, I suppose because I was a fan of well, it's not Dermot O'Leary, not Dermot, it's O'Hanlon, who played Father Dougal. I found him to be the funniest character in the show. But later on, and he is funny, the show's just funny, but later on I realised that Father Ted, who's the main character, is actually probably the funniest he's the funniest character in the show. Dougal's kind of completely oblivious, but Father Ted is also oblivious but in a different way, and is always getting into trouble. So that was one of really enjoyed that show. But as far as the characters go, I wouldn't put any of them on the list of my favourites, but they're all really good. I really liked them. Men Behaving Badly, I liked the show, wasn't bothered about the characters, but it was a good show. It was funny, and I did watch it. The Royal Family, I liked it. I just didn't find it like hugely funny. It was basically a show about nothing. Like nothing really happened. That's kind of like me, really. But nothing really happened. It was just about a lot of families sitting around watching telly. And it was... I think it appealed to people maybe that lived that life, that maybe grew up like that, or that was that kind of way that they lived or used to live, or I couldn't relate to it. I don't think it was really well written, and it was funny. I didn't find it as funny as a lot of other people found it. All the characters were really good. Very well acted, and really good characters. But I don't know. I had a bit of a thing for Denise, because she used to play Carolina Hearn. She's not with us anymore, but she used to play Sister Immaculate. I wonder if I've got this correct. I'm going to say this off the top of my head, and then I'm going to check it. In the early 90s, she used to play a character called Sister Immaculate, and she was a nun. and that would be her on stage doing stand-up as a nun. So look, let's have a look. So what was her name? Caroline Ahern. Caroline Ahern. So early life, career. So Ahern began performing on the Manchester comedy circuit as characters such as Mitzi Goldberg, lead singer of the comedy country and western act The Mitzi Goldberg Experience, and Sister Mary Immaculate, an Irish nun. Ooh. Is that what I said? I think it is. If I was going to say one of the best characters, comedy characters, was because Mrs. Merton. Now I'm not sure if they're going to have this because technically it wasn't a sitcom. It was a game. It was like a talk show, but it was a character she put on, Mrs. Merton, and she played this kind of elderly character, maybe in her 60s or 70s or whatever. Very, very funny. The thing is, there's nothing weird here, but I walked into her when she was undressed during I was at a gig, she was at a gig. She wasn't completely, but she was getting dressed. And I just wanted this, she was already like, I think she was headlining, and I wanted to say hello to her, but it's very difficult to sort of introduce yourself to someone when they're trying to get dressed. And I might have spent too much time. You ever wait? You see in that situation, you realise they've not seen you, and I realised I've been standing there too long to just like walk out and not say anything. So I felt I needed to let her know that I was there, in order for her to know that I was there. It was a weird one. So yeah, we never got married in the end. That's what I'm saying. But I loved her. Bottom, I didn't love her. Bottom. This is a TV show. Bottom. Well, I did like her. No, Richard and Eddie Hitler. That's Bottom. So I never really watched that show. So it's basically Adrian Edmondson and Rick Mayall pretty much just carrying on their same characters they had in the young ones, really. And they did that for years and years. So it's very slapstick. So you got 2000s and beyond, The Office. Again, I really liked it, but I wouldn't go for any of the characters. David Brent wasn't a favourite character. Gareth, possibly. I quite liked his character. But, yeah. Peep Show. Absolutely love Peep Show. Again, I wouldn't put them down as my favourite comedy characters, because it really... Mark Corrigan... It's basically, that's the character, but it's almost like he's been on lots of TV shows since as himself, and it's kind of the same character. Seems to be the same person, pretty much. Little Britain. I liked all the characters in Little Britain. I thought was good. The It Crowd. I didn't ever really watch that. The IT Crowd, Gavin and Stacey. Again, I didn't really find them being, although it was a sitcom, I didn't really class them as comedy characters as such. But maybe Nessa. The In-Betweeners. Yeah, Jay in The In-Betweeners was the the main comedy character because of all the absolute rubbish that it's talk about. And I discovered the In-Betweeners late one night I think I was probably about to go to bed, and it was the episode where they go to a fun park and he has to carry his car door around with him. And I was like, what on earth am I watching? It's very funny. And then you've got 2010s to 20s. Fleabag. I really like Fleabag. Derry Girls, never seen it. Detectorists, never seen it. Afterlife, yep. Not my favourite character, but if I was going to say one of my favourite characters of that show would be, what's his name, that's all constantly telling really awful, offensive jokes. Yeah, that I liked him. Friday Night Dinner, never really watched it. People Do Nothing, haven't watched it. This Country, they're both really good characters on that. They're like cousins and they just get up to stuff. So then you've got Strathlet's Flats. I quite like it. And Motherland, which I'm actually just started watching. It's funny. It's basically just a bunch of mothers and one father that are looking after their kids full time, and all the dynamics that are going on between the different parents, and how they try and control each other and help each other. And it's just, it's funny, very funny show. I can't believe I've only just come across it. I mean, I was more looking for comedy characters. I mean, Victor Meldrew, they're not even mentioned that. Victor Meldrew, he was in One Foot in the Grave, one of the greatest comedy characters. He was this grumpy old man, and his catchphrase was, "I don't believe it." But then you've got Basil Fawlty, absolutely amazing character, comedy character. So he would be up there. Bouquet, Horrifice Bouquet, whatever her name was, Keeping Up Appearances. What a great comedy actor she was. That character was really funny. It's just she was wanting to keep up with the neighbours, and she thought she was something special and almost like royalty when she just lived in a semi-detached house. Del Boy, great character. Just going through comedy, Mr. Bean. We can't not mention Mr. Bean. So I'm going through. As far as that, just going through the listing, all the ones. I did like Jay Cartwright from The In-Betweeners. But there's a lot of things they've missed out on this list. So, comedy characters, what I would say is Alan Partridge is one of my favourite comedy characters. Didn't even mention it here, I has now. So, just looking through it. Lynn from Alan Partridge Show. She's very funny. She's been playing that part for decades. She's so good at it. Hyacinth Bucket, keeping up appearances. Yeah. So I would. And Victor Meldrew. So yeah. I quite like Count Arthur Strong as a comedy character. I just find it funny, just his mannerisms and that. But then you got Mrs. Brown from Mrs. Brown's Boys. Have I really got to choose my favourite out of all of those? Well, that's just the UK. What about America? If I was going to go through the sitcoms in America that I like, as far as my favourite characters, I'd start with Cheers. And I suppose my favourite character... It's weird. I don't like separating them because they're all one... They're one team, aren't they? When you got the postman, you got... what's his name? They shout his name out. I should know his name. Ted, Bill, Steve, Horace, Bucket. Oh, you know, the one that's always at the bar. The two that are always at the bar. And you've got Sam, you've got Rebecca, and you've got Fraser, and Lilith, and Diana, and what's her name? So yeah, there's a few. It's because I'll be going through so many different names. So I kind of see them as like one big character, but I think Frasier's a great comedy character. I still watch him on his show. Great comedy character. The pomposity, and also his brother in the show. It's a great character. The two of them, really. Friends. I don't know. I watched Friends, but I wasn't really a Friends mega fan. I know it was huge, successful, huge, both everywhere, I suppose. And I did watch it right from the start to the end. I don't mean from the start of the episode to the end of the episode. I mean Sam. No, that's Sam behind the bar, isn't it? Not Fred. What was his name they used to call out? And I suppose I'd probably go for Joey. I think Joey was, but yeah, maybe. It was 3 blokes and 3 women, wasn't it? I quite liked Phoebe as well. Is Phoebe the blonde one? Who was always coming out with weird things. Yeah, I liked her. So that's... But it's not one of my favourite shows. If we're going to go... My favourite American sitcom show... Probably, although if we're going to go for having watched it the most, then probably Cheers and Frasier, they'd kind of be there. Everyone Loves Raymond is sometimes really, really funny. We see our episodes in the morning sometimes, and But then I think of, I don't know, other sitcoms. Other sitcoms. I know technically MASH. I mean, MASH was kind of like a sitcom. I like the characters in MASH. I used to love Roseanne. Loads of different shows. I think Roseanne was good when you had both the young girls were arguing all the time. It's very well scripted. I like that. I'm trying to think what else. Vinny's now begging me for something. You're begging me. What is it you want, Vinny? I'm guessing it's going to be something like a treat. Is it a treat you want? But you got your dinner over there. Why don't you eat that? Why don't you eat your dinner? Eat your dinner, Vin. Vin. There was a lot of American sitcoms, but I think one of the ones I really... Okay, we're going to go for comedy characters. Let's forget the sitcoms. Comedy characters. Naked Gun, because he was in Files from... It was a Police Files or something it was called, the TV show. Frank Drebin. Leslie Nielsen. What a great character. Brilliant. Like, complete straight face all the time. Amazing. I loved Mork from Mork and Mindy. Absolutely loved Mork. But then you've had things like Taxi and Danny DeVito. What a character in that show. As far as like comedy characters, so many. As far as TV show comedy characters in America, you want my attention, do you? You're not going to get it though. This is about as much as I'm going to give you. He's literally now trying to get on my lap. I'm trying to think of another thing. Favourite comedy characters in America? I used to love Bill Cosby, like in the Bill Cosby shows. Mork and Mindy, so Mork from Mork and Mindy. Oh, also, one of my favourite is Mork's son. And his name was Cork. Mork and Dork. I forget his name, but he was Mork and Mindy's son. And great comedy character, really phenomenal. Yeah, possibly funnier than Robin Williams, as far as like comedy goes. I mean, funny is comedy, isn't it? But oh wow, yeah, that was very funny. I'm just trying to think other comedy shows. I mean, the Golden Girls, I liked all of the characters in the Golden Girls. I mean, especially the really, well, they're all old, weren't they? But the really old one, although she wasn't really old, was she? I don't think in real life. But she went on, she was like the grandmother. She was the mother of one of the, I think she was the mother of Blanche. and she was got a proper mouth on her, so she was funny. That was a good character. I'm trying to think of some sitcoms on, like, characters from today's sitcoms, American sitcoms. I'm just trying to think. Probably. Bum, 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 bum. Da, 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 da. Oh, blimey. Orc from York, no. No, I can't think of any others. There's so many. I was focused on British ones, so then I thought, oh, let's have a look at the American ones. And I mean, Batman and Robin, the TV show, that was funny. So they were good comedy characters. Wurzel Gummidge in this country, the original Wurzel Gummidge, I loved him. Would I have an outright winner out of all of them? For longevity, Alan Partridge, because he's been going over 30 odd years, and no other comedy character in this country, I think, has done that. But then you've got Fawlty Towers, Basil Fawlty. That was such a brilliant character. And you've got Del Boy. I'm going to choose Del Boy just because I love the show. And I know that when I finish this recording, I'll remember something. Oh, why didn't I think about that one? But it doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah. Just trying to think of the American ones before I go. What other American ones are there? There's loads, isn't there? I used to watch the American sitcoms on a Friday night, because that's what they used to be on a Friday between 9 and 10 on Channel 4. So Roseanne, just different ones, Cheers, and then when Cheers finished, something else. They take their turns, and something else would come on, and something else, and yeah, be quite a few different shows. I always watched them. Whatever was on, I'd watch it. Always. Every Friday night. This was in the late 80s, maybe also in the 90s as well. I got no idea what's on a Friday night now. I lost track of TV a little bit over the years. What do believe that brings me to the end of this here recording. So thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. Be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. Lots of love. Bye.